You might have even said it the last time you were on here. You're like, weed, I know you do it, and I don't want to, say things that might make you uncomfortable, but inevitably that might be something you might want to look into letting go of.
Yes,
And I was like, yeah, Drew, but this is what I need. This
I'm
is
different.
the one thing, yeah. And then when I got into that's when it really opened up. That's when I really started to understand, which made it so much harder. I started to understand all the mistakes I've made and all the hurt I've caused to all the people that I love the most. And that, when you realize that, the first thing you want to do when you're an addict is go use to not face it anymore.
Or act out, yeah.
But instead, that backyard, like if I ever got that house, going into that, there was so many times I would go into that backyard and pray. And this is before I really believed in God, because I was like, this is insane. And I would be like, I don't know who I'm talking to, but I'm not going to use, I'm not going to go out. I'm just going to sit here with it, because I know that that's the best move, but you got to give me an answer. Like, something's got to change. Can you make it change? And it would just be so much pain that I felt like I might go crazy. And it was terrifying, because I was like, you're a good guy. You got a brain, but I'm starting to lose it. I'm starting to not care if I'm here anymore. But I love my kids. And that was the biggest thing. Like, when it got really dark, then there was like, I would put, I don't want to say, but there was things where I was like, I'm gonna end it. And I was like, you do that.
I'm not sure
you've caused your kids enough strife. You do that. And that's the last straw. Like, you're gonna inflict that on them after they've done nothing but good for you.
Well, here's the problem. And this is the really, if he ever starts talking like this, is you convince yourself, and by the way, you shouldn't have like knives and guns around. Just, if you're prone to depression, just saying.
Do you think that honestly makes a difference if you're going to do something?
It does, because it's often it's almost in a psychotic, impulsive state. That's why people hang themselves. They just poof, now.
They say that very often, that people, if they made it another 5 minutes, they may have gotten out of it. Right?
People jump off stuff, and when they're on their way down, they regret it. They say
most of the time.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Out of my face, you mean? Tully did that. I didn't do that.
My bad.
But you convince. This is the thinking. I want you to maybe commit to somebody. Doesn't have to be in this room, but somebody that if you start thinking like this, you tell somebody. And
I don't.
Yeah. The thinking is they'd be better off without me.
I don't think that at all.
I understand. That's why you're here.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Yeah. Another reason why, no matter how bad it gets, and how I don't want to go to a meeting, I go. And how much I don't want to call my sponsor or talk to other people.
So do you have sponsors in different programs now?
No, just one. My sponsor passed away. I just went to his funeral on Saturday.
Oh my God.
I know. It was really hard. But his sponsor is now a good friend of mine, and he's the one that I watched him make a speech one day, and it was a real it changed everything from that day on, where he's 75. He's jacked, and he's like, I get in a 3-point stance. That's how I pray now. I get in a 3-point stance.
Wow,
and when I finish praying, I get fired up, and that's his thing. He gets fired up, and just the whole speech, the way he talked it just connected with me so much. So I'm just always around those people, and that's the other thing. I go to meetings and I sit there and if you want me to talk, okay, I'll talk. But now I'm like, I'm a secretary. I'm engaged. I know everybody, and I think I really fought to not be a part of that, because I'm like, there's this thing that I think we all think, where I'm like, I don't want to hang out with these people all the time, fucking losers, And I'm like, dude, this is your community. We stay in this community and we stay sober. So like, stay in it. And now I have a lot of friends. They're always reaching out to me. I have like 20 people now that are texting me all the time. So I just know as long as I stay in that, I'm gonna be fine. And things have gotten a lot better.
You seem great. Listen, this is not by way of advice giving. You're on your way.
I mean, I'm single, dude, and I remember thinking, that's terrifying. I don't want to be in this house by myself. I really like being in this house by myself. Like, I'm busy doing a lot of stuff. If I've got time and I'm by myself, think of comedy bits, write bits. Like, where's that fire? Like, let's get fired up and let's do some shit, like TikTok, Like today, skating with Tony. This concrete ball, whereas when I walked up to it, I looked in, I was like, oh, I don't want to this is not a good idea. You know, like, you have to skate for a while. This thing's a monster. But I got in there, started moving around, and just like every other thing, like, you get in there, you start moving around, and you start enjoying yourself and doing things you didn't think you could do. And then when I got out, I hobbled to the car and came here. But I'm proud to, like, take my pads off and then hobble to my car. And I'm like, you are hobbling. You are seriously injured. And you just skated like a 13-foot giant concrete bowl with Tony Hawk. You're good, dude. You're good. You got plenty in you, you know?
Drew, let me ask you something. This is maybe a mundane observation, but I think the way that we were raised, a world not that long ago, we saw addiction, like, say, Barney Gumble on The Simpsons, the classic alcoholic, a moral failing. This person has made choices in their life. They can't get serious, and so they're like ruining their family's life because of their own selfishness or something. It seems, the anecdotal evidence to me seems so overwhelming, and knowing Jason as I do and what you mentioned earlier about Catherwood, it seems the vast number of people who have any sort of addiction, it stems from some sort of mental depression, whatever you want to call it. And the vast majority of those can be linked back to some sort of trauma, abuse. What percentage of people who are in whatever anonymous are acting out abuse?
So I can only speak to the present moment and the time I've been practicing in this area. And there are guys like Gabor Mate that say it's all trauma. Okay, 100%. I'm not in that group. Sometimes you're just a truck driver and started taking meth at night to get through the night.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Sometimes you're just a guy that works at a bar and you had the gene and it gets out of control.
Yes.
But the majority of times there is trauma. And the way I always say it is, if you have bad enough addiction that you need to come see me, there's 100% probability of childhood trauma, and not little t trauma, like trifecta: physical abuse, sexual abuse, abandonment, all of it. And that's the rocket fuel for addiction. And sex addiction, I would say there's always some kind of trauma in there. I would say always. That's part of the compartmentalization of sex addiction. And then you have to have the genetics of alcoholism or something that, boom, now it takes off.
It's definitely a sneakier one too. It's kind of like food addiction, where, you know, like, if you're out of control with your eating and you're incredibly obese and you're unhealthy, like, you're jeopardizing your life, you got to eat still. Right. And it's kind of like, you know, with sex addiction, the thing that I've noticed with sex addiction, it's sex and love addiction. And I think a lot of people, you know, like a lot of sober guys, it's kind of like, you know, they smoke a lot of cigarettes. It's like, I don't know if that's the greatest thing you need to do with your life. And it's like, yeah, but it's better than everything else. And I'm like, that's a good argument, yes. But if you smoke 2 packs a day, that's not good either. Yeah. So it's the same with, like, check that ass out. And I'm like, that's a bit rude, you know what I mean? And again, I'll catch myself and go, you really think that person was rude? Like, you've looked at everybody's ass, Jason. Like, what are you saying? But it's
inappropriate.
I won't say it out loud for that one. But I know a lot of guys that go, check it out, and I'm like, I'm not checking it out. Like, I don't know that person. I'm not like, I don't watch porn. I don't care anymore.
Right now, that's all slippery for you. Be careful. But the reason there are so many different programs in sex addiction, there's SAA, there's SCA, there's SA, there's SLA, there's LA. There's just love addiction, straight up.
Yeah, I believe it.
And it's because it has different flavors.
Yeah.
And the rooms are a little different.
Yeah.
And even the program's a little different, which I was going to say to you, you might want to get a sponsor in SA or SLA to work at least through the 5th step with that, just to kind of see how different they go at it.
Yeah, you're probably right. Look, I have I feel like it's a matter of the same with the AA. I meet the right person. I mean, I do have somebody that hasn't said that they're my sponsor, but I do go there with a guy
in SLA. How long has he been sober or whatever?
Like 20 years. Like,
in SLA.
Yeah,
that's a big deal because it's rare to find somebody like that.
Yeah, there's a couple people there that have.
You should lean on that.
They're real. Yeah, he was the one that took me and didn't say why. I was like, yeah, I'll go. I'll go. I was 2 in a day, and I was like, yeah, I'll go. And then as soon as it started, I started to get dark because I was like, I mean, can you have any more afflictions, dude? And then he's like, you good? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm just. And then it came
because
to
the
me
story
talking.
Is the desperation.
Yeah, because it was so. I was like, I think that. I've thought that. Son of a bitch. I'm just like that guy. Just like that guy. I'm like, man, I thought I was doing good because I don't smoke weed. Son of a bitch. But it does now.
Does it bother you that I'm laughing?
No, not at all.
I hope you put
No,
something like
I think it's funny.
Because you should put something like this in your comedy act because people don't laugh about this enough. It makes it accessible for people.
People don't believe it.
No, I know.
'Cause I think sometimes it's been used as like somebody cheats and they go, "Oh, I'm a sex addict," and I'm like, you can say the words, it doesn't get you out of it.
It
Like,
also doesn't diagnose you necessarily.
right, and you're still a dog, by the way. Like if you don't do the work and then stop doing that to people, that doesn't. You can't just use it as an excuse. You got to like do the work.